Good afternoon, everybody. It's Russ Fitzpatrick, founder of AnnieMac Works and the My Work Suite technology package. We also host the National Lunch and Learn League that happens once a month with realtors all over the country. This is a special conversation, more personal, a little more intimate, looking for realtors that really want the leadership, really want the accountability potentially that comes with a much more um, I guess a lesser edited, a lesser, polished version of a personal conversation. And I want to tell you that this real estate exam screen that is on your visual right now is on there because I think the real estate exam in the state that I graduated from in Florida is an absolute waste of everyone's time. And it doesn't teach you anything about how to sell real estate. It doesn't teach you anything at all about how to be productive or professional or customer service oriented, how to attract customers, how to convert and serve the customers that you need, or how to even, be a professional residential real estate exam. As I look across the country, I see these exams and I think, well, what did that actually teach the real estate agent about how to be a professional realtor? So I'm going to leave this up. Then I'm going to ask you 5 questions in the real estate exam that I'm interested in, and that I'm going to put down here, the real estate exam, and see what you think of this. Real estate exam questions that should be asked of you. I'm going to tell you the first one that I know of that really tells me. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I was in a room with 72 real estate agents that asked my opinion. My opinion. They asked my opinion. That's why they had me there, right? So I said, I'll tell you my opinion. I'm going to give you the real estate exam, okay? And I'm going to say to you, number one question I have for you as a realtor is, do you have written goals and plans to achieve them? Do you have written goals and plans to achieve them? If you do, stand up. Stand up if you have written goals and plans to achieve them. Somewhere on your body, somewhere in your computer, somewhere on your laptop, somewhere on your iPad, somewhere in your desk drawer, you have written goals and plans to achieve them. Well, out of 72 people, about 4 of them stood up. About 4. And then I said, I'm going to ask you another question. Look at the Google bar. Do you have a sphere of influence database? Some database that exists in your world of all the people you know who know you, like you, and trust you, or could recognize you in a room. Do you have a sphere of influence database? That was my second question. The same 4 people stayed up. Then I said, do you have a Twilio account or other CRM that texts? Texts. It has to be able to text because I use Twilio. So I asked 72 people, do they have a Twilio account or some other CRM that texts? And the reason that texts are so important, could you get by with a MailChimp account? Could you get by with a Mojo or a Vulcan 7 or a Ring Central account or some sort of listing, Think or, Bold or Boomtown account? Yeah, but if you can't text large batches of texts in 2021, you're already dead and you don't know it. So I asked, do you have a Twilio account or other CRM that texts? The next question I have for our realtor friends, do you pay for leads from any source? Do you pay for leads from any source? Social media pay-per-click, Google pay-per-click? Do you pay for leads from Facebook? Do you pay for leads from realtor.com? Do you pay for leads from Zillow? I mean, the great big 800-pound gorilla. Do you pay for leads from Zillow? Do you pay for leads from social media? And then the last question is, do you have a geographic farm area, a subdivision in which you specialize in? You want to know what I found out with 72 agents in the room? The same 4 people who had written goals and plans to achieve them had a Twilio or similar CRM text, had a sphere of influence database, had a commitment to pay for leads from at least one source. And then when I asked, do you have a farm area? Guess what, guys? The same 4 agents were still standing. What an incredible twist of fate that those 4 people were the top earners in the room. Do you think this is complex, residential real estate agents? Do you think that it's complex to have 4 sources of business that generate an additional 16 transactions per calendar year? Do you think that if you had a text nurturing campaign for seasoned leads that you could do something here? Do you think if you had a geographic farm area, if you had a sphere of influence database, that you could do something in residential real estate? Isn't it interesting? Out of 72 people in a room, only 4 people said yes to those 5 questions, and those 4 people happen to be the highest earners. Success leaves clues, my friends. And this board that you're looking at is like based on Keokuk, Iowa price point. This is like rural North Carolina price point. This is like $120,000 houses as the average sale. And it still makes $64,000 a year on those 16 deals. What I'm trying to share with you folks is that 4 transactions from texting old leads, absentee owner notes, geographic farming, and sphere of influence could make you $120,000 a year in almost any market in America. I use this $4,000 per sale number almost as a tongue-in-cheek opportunity to prove something of merit to you. 4 sources of business by 4 deals each gets you 16 deals a year. And that, my friends, is the Fitzpatrick formula. I'm going to go back and just real quick ask you those questions one more time if you want to write them down. Do you have written goals and plans to achieve them? Do you have a Twilio or other CRM that can text your old leads and your sphere of influence? Do you, in fact, have an Excel spreadsheet with your sphere of influence database on it, or some other database of your sphere of influence? And last, 2 more questions. Do you pay for any leads from Google, social media, realtor.com, or Zillow? And then my last question that's going to feed into today's session, week 3 here at Fitzpatrick Formula, is simply, do you have a geographic farm area? So some of you are sitting there saying, I don't have a geographic farm area. So what I did is I put into Google, I typed in, the theme of this class is obviously typing into Google because you're going to get a lot of information. YouTube real estate training on geographic farming. Tom Ferry comes up. Michael Bjorkman, a very famous geographic farming agent in California, comes up, part of the Club Wealth Group. Just tons of geographic farming trainings, right? It's no way that you could claim in 2021 that you couldn't figure out how to farm geographically, could you? You're talking about a subdivision that you specialize in. I think Tom's 7-minute video sums it up. I think this one here, the second one, 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 11-minute video, a 10-minute video. Simply go in and put YouTube real estate training, geographic farming. You're going to find so much training on a geographic farm area that it's going to blow your mind. But so today's session is, if you don't have a subdivision that you're proud of, if you don't have an area that you know all the schools, all the churches, all the synagogues, know the square footage of the homes in your community, if you don't have a sense of pride and ownership of a subdivision, 650 to 1,200 homes is your subdivision. You own it, you dominate it. Look at this video right here. Michael Bjorkman, a big fan of his. He's out in California. He's with the Club Wealth Group. He's a shark rock star, probably makes 7 figures a year selling real estate. That's Michael right there. He did a course for you. Over 5,000 realtors have viewed it. Only 2 negative feedbacks on that particular course. That's called How to Dominate Your Farm and Become the Celebrity Realtor in Your Market. I would encourage you to look at that. If you're my best friend, if you were my son, if you were my, if I was in charge of mentoring you or being, part of your leadership team, I would say you got to have a geographic farm area. A geographic farm area is the only way that you can have a pride and ownership in anything in residential real estate. That you have 600 homes, that you know the model names, you know the model square footages, you know the homeowners in there, you know what's going on in there. So you become not only a celebrity realtor, but a true consultant and advisor, a true support system, a humble servant leader to help those people. And when you get calls in your farm area, these are come list my house calls. They're not a pain in the neck for you to do. There's a marketing company that specializes in farm called Prospect Plus. And I'm going to take you to someone who I'm very proud of. If you go to AnnieMacWorks.com and you go in here to AnnieMacWorks.com, you go to the on-demand library, all of you, even my top producers nationally, are crying that they don't have any listings, but they're not doing anything to take listings. That's what breaks my heart. So farming is one of the best ways that you can start to go out and build a listing inventory. Of course, you can do for sale by owners. There's a class right here on for sale by owners. There's another class on for sale by owners that we're very proud of. But look at Farming Fridays here, guys. Getting ready to play for you free from any charge. Farming Fridays week 1, Farming Fridays week 2, week 3, week 4. This is a 6-week farming course. We've probably graduated, 13, 14,000 realtors from this 6-week course. And at my brokerage in Fort Lauderdale, Weston, and Coral Springs, Florida, I was able to manage 540 realtors. And I'm really proud to say about 200 of them had a farm, a geographic farm area. The other 340, I couldn't get them to do anything if I tried. I could wave, $100 bills in front of them, and they wouldn't get out of their seat. But for you guys that are hungry, for you guys that are ambitious, for you guys that are eager to learn, go straight to the on-demand library and go into Farming Fridays and learn it. By the end of our relationship, guys, you're going to manage 4 sources of business that do 4 closings each. If you're like me and you live in a $300,000 average neighborhood, you're making $9,000 per deal. Well, 9 times 16 deals, $9,000 times 16 deals is a tremendous amount of money, isn't it? It's a tremendous amount of money to build your career around. And we didn't even account for the income that comes in from these miscellaneous source transactions, these buyers that are going to come out of your farm area sell calls, your sign calls, these buyers that are going to come out of these listings that you take. Everything I do is listing oriented, and then it absolutely starts to produce buyer side leads as well. The theme of the Fitzpatrick formula is to manage a source of business chart that produces not less than 16 transactions. 16 times $10,000 each would be $160,000, right? When you get into $9,000 a file, you're talking about $148,000 a year or thereabouts. And you've got, in smaller markets with lesser expensive homes, you'd still be making a $64,000 a year income based on about $130,000 a year each sale. So I don't know if I'm being clear, but I'm going to ask you these questions again as a friend, as literally as someone who really only measures my success by yours. I only measure my success by your success. I hope you'll send me an email. I hope you'll send me a text. I hope you'll send me a note and just tell me the answers to these questions. Do you have written goals and plans to achieve them? If the answer to that is no, you got to change that, guys. What are your written goals and what are your plans to achieve them? Do you have a Twilio account or some other CRM that sends texts in large batches, or that you can text your folks and schedule out texts to go to them? Do you have a sphere of influence database? Do you have some Excel spreadsheet or other database and any marketing plan to reach out to your sphere of influence, your friends and family? Do you pay for leads from any source? Because if you're not paying for leads from any source, you're probably not getting enough leads. You might have to go to social media boosting and pay-per-click. You might have to go to Google pay-per-click to have leads get to your website. You might have to go to realtor.com or Zillow and suck it up and spend a little bit of money. But if you're going to make six figures, if you're going to make, $250, $300, $400,000 a year, I'll bet you say yes to those four questions. And the last question, as we mentioned, do you have a geographic farm area? If you don't have a geographic farm area, you'll never have a pride in ownership. You'll never have a sense of achievement and a sense of self-respect unless you have 3 or 4 signs up in one subdivision. Those are all yours. You own that subdivision. You competed for that subdivision. You won that subdivision, and that subdivision is yours, baby. That's a cool feeling to have as a realtor. So I want to point out in the on-demand library these 6 courses that will, in fact, give you a formula, the Fitzpatrick formula. My wife, Carrie, made about 160 grand a year out of her farm area for about the last 11 years that she sold real estate. My first partner in crime, my first buyer's agent, built a farm area. He had, at his largest farm area, he had 11,000 homes in his farm area. Okay, this guy was a monster farming agent, and he made his first like 200 grand a year just in his farm area. So it was a fantastic window for him to learn how to farm. And these 6 lesson plans in Annie Mac Works On Demand, starting at week 1, going through week 6. Yeah, is it 6 hours of training? Yes, it is 6 hours of training. Is that a lot? Absolutely. If you want to make $200,000 a year, you might have to go through 6 hours of training. I'm sorry to tell you that, guys. There's no short way to download all of the information on how to do something as effective as geographic farming without going through it. So I'm going to implore you, I'm going to beg of you, keep those 5 questions in mind and get yourself a geographic farm area. There's no shortage of information on how to farm. It's just, why are you not farming? That's the question. So my name is Russ Fitzpatrick. This is Fitzpatrick Formula Week 6. We're centering our relationship around these 4 sources of business on an ongoing basis. Geographic farming is one. I bet you if you start geographic farming today, you'll do 4 closings in your geographic farm after the first year. If I had one piece of advice for you as a residential real estate agent entering your farm area, you can't expect any results for the first 4 to 6 months. I said it. You got to commit to farming for the whole year. You can't try farming. You have to do farming. You can't try farming. You have to commit to farming. That's an annualized plan in a geographic farm. And if you don't have any money, there is digital farming and inexpensive door hangers. You can partner with a vendor and they'll help pay for it. But geographic farming in the Farming Fridays coaching program has so many shortcuts and ways to do it without spending money that there's really no excuse for you. So you better get some written goals. You better get some sort of Twilio texting system that you can send out text to your family and friends. You better have a sphere of influence database at some point in your real estate career. And you better buy some leads once in a while, even if it's only 40 leads a month or 20 leads a month. At least you have that one extra sale a month coming in that you can build some revenue on. And then last but not least, of course, the 5th question, do you have a geographic farm area? I'm working for you guys. I'm only here to help. If you want to get what the top realtors get, you got to do what the top realtors do. And of 72 realtors, the 4 realtors that answered yes to all 5 of those questions were the highest earners in the room. I kid you not. Consistent in every brokerage I walk into.